Tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
We take a look at a man who turned his hobby of wood carving into a career.
I would suggest if you want to do it, dive right in. A lot of people are too scared.
The Dog with Wings Society's annual fundraiser.
So anybody who needs a dog should get a dog, and price should never ever be a factor.
And we also take a look at the new Royal Alberta Museum.
Everything that's on display here was roaming around Alberta, some of it until as recently as 10,000 years ago.
NewsWatch starts now.
Man, Perry is going to be so upset with us today.
I know, I can't believe we're late again.
I know, we got NewsWatch today too. People are going to be really upset about this.
It's not NewsWatch, it's NewsWatch Extra.
Over the years, art has evolved and it's constantly changing. People were formerly painting scenes of forests like this one.
But instead of painting, an Edmonton man is turning it into real art. Ryan, you have more on that story.
Alberta's economy is slowing down, so is the demand for industry-related apprenticeships.
The current economic downturn, gas dropped even further.
With a downturn in our economy.
Ryan Villiers was a heavy-duty mechanic, but when the price of oil dropped, Ryan was laid off and looking for a new way to earn money. Ryan had been chainsaw carving for a short amount of time, a hobby that had started with a desire to try something new.
I watched a show called Timber Kings at one point in time, and I saw what they were doing on there. And I really wanted to give it a try, but I put it off for quite a few months living in the city. But at one point I had enough and I went and bought a chainsaw, and my first carving, I was hooked.
After being laid off, what started as a hobby quickly became Ryan's job. Ryan comes from an artistic background, and art was something he had enjoyed during his school days. Ryan quickly gained attention in the chainsaw carving world and was recognized by Timberland Supply, hosts of an annual carving contest.
We'd heard about him from a few people, and he was an up-and-coming star. And even the people that were competing against him recognized that he was going to be really good right out of the chute.
What sets Ryan's carvings apart from store-bought items is that every one of them is unique. They are all made out of different types of wood, and all of them have their own individual imperfections, something that Ryan believes is helping to grow the art form. Ryan now carves full-time, carving a variety of sculptures including animals as well as characters from films and TV. For Ryan, the sculpture he is most proud of is one he made in response to a trying time for many. Ryan carved a life-sized hockey player complete with angel wings as a gift to the victims' families of the Humboldt Broncos tragedy last year.
It was quite a lengthy process. Each individual part, appendage, was separate carved. It was all laminated blocks. A lot of people felt the need to do something, and for myself it was, I wanted to express my support through art.
That sculpture now sits in Humboldt, and Ryan believes that it means something different to everyone, and he hopes it can help some of the families in a tough time. As chainsaw carving grows in popularity thanks to TV shows, Ryan hopes more people will take it up as an art form.
I would suggest if you want to do it, dive right in. A lot of people are too scared. Oh, I could never say that. Don't do that to yourself, because you don't know what you're capable of.
Art is constantly evolving and people's tastes are ever changing. Ryan Villiers is trying to leave his own mark on the art world, and he's doing it one cut at a time. For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Ryan Cavani.
As Christmas is fast approaching, one often gets a sense of holiday cheeriness and Christmas spirit here on campus.
That's true, but for some of NAIT's international students, they won't be making the trip back home this Christmas. Our Jasmine King has more on that story.
For most, the holiday season is a time to have a break and get together with your family and friends. However, what would it be like if you couldn't be with your family over the holidays and had to spend them alone? You might have said you don't know, because it's hard to imagine not being with family over the holiday season. For some international students, however, this is a harsh reality they have to face.
I recently moved to Canada, so I'm in the stage that you are here new, so you don't know a lot of people. So for me, if I were and go back to Mexico, will be incomplete. I will feel incomplete because I'm not with my closest friends or family, like the people that I love.
This time of year can be stressful for all students alike, and with the pressures of final exams and finishing up a semester at school, stress levels can be at an all-time high.
So we're in the part of the semester where everybody, most people are feeling the stress quite keenly, and especially the ones that aren't coping with it well. They may not have thought ahead to get connected on campus.
Coupled with an unstructured break, this can also lead to heightened stress levels.
Holiday time is also very unstructured, so bedtimes go right out the window. Everybody's eating whatever they can find and whatever they can see.
Although some international students may not be able to head home for the holidays, there is something here available at NAIT, and it's called the Holiday Host Program, where they can experience their own Canadian holiday.
So what it does is it allows for people like staff who work here to host a person. So if they want to experience their first Canadian Christmas, they actually can come into the home of somebody else and be with the family on Christmas.
Students unlike Gloria, who will not get to go home for the holidays, she thinks this is a good program to have in place.
It's a really nice opportunity, like for international students, because if you don't have like family or friends to spend with the Christmas, so it will help you to spend like a really Canadian holidays.
If you are an international student looking for resources over the holidays or would like to sign up for the Holiday Host Program, you can go to nait.ca and find the International Students page. For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Jasmine King.
You're watching NAIT NewsWatch, the next generation of news.
Countries around the world are looking to move away from fossil fuels and channel their money into renewable sources of energy.
That's right, renewable sources of energy, just like this microgreen algae right here. Our Logan Breakwrights has more on that story.
Last year, we hit a historic high of producing 32.5 billion tons of carbon emissions in 1 year. Furthermore, the quality of air and exacerbation of resources has wiped out 60% of vertebrate animals since the 1940s. To put that into perspective, if we lost 60% of human life, it would be equivalent to emptying North America, South America, Africa, Europe, and China, which is roughly 4 billion people. One of the biggest causers of emissions for Canadians is using electricity, but now, in 2018, we could subvert that with renewable energy. Since its conception, renewable energy has been stigmatized as something not an average person can use in day-to-day life, but for those who work with renewable energy, such as Connie Stacy, say the accessibility hurdle can be jumped today.
I think sometimes it's a little bit daunting. We think about off-grid and renewables as a really big installation. So we often think about it as, oh, if I want to get my home off-grid, or if I want to start using renewables, I need to put $30,000, $40,000 into a system in my home, and that's it's really something that's quite daunting for most average people. But in fact, we actually have far more usable systems at a much smaller scale, as well as those large scales. So it really, I think, is less daunting than people think. So in terms of can we? Absolutely 100%.
It's a promising start. However, it would be a Herculean task for everyone to switch to renewables overnight. Instead, recent alumni from the Renewable Energy program at NAIT, Aaron Rabsky, thinks we need to refine current methods, plus use renewables on top.
In Alberta, of course, we're very dependent on natural gas and coal for our power requirements, but adding a good mix of renewables such as solar and wind will help to decarbonize our grid. And then, using more efficient technologies.
Aaron Rabsky is one of the people making Alberta one of the top leading producers of renewable energy, and he does so with one simple motivation.
So looking to our energy consumption, I thought, what better way to reduce our carbon footprint as a farm or as an individual or just as the general Albertan, is to get more educated about renewables and to spread this knowledge to other people.
Because hydropower typically is from a Logan Breakwrights, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Coming up after the break, NewsWatch Extra heads to the Wig Boutique, a place that helps women who've lost their hair feel like themselves again.
The hardest part about going through treatment is losing the hair. We've had many clients say it's harder to lose the hair than it is the breast.
And how a local wrestler is trying to make it big in the WWE.
Watching professional wrestling for the first time is the very first memory I can actually truly remember from my life.
Imagine a digital portal to the mind, to films that go beyond your sight. These are movies you'll never see.
Go to the audio tab on nr92.com.
Remember, it's all in your head.
Movies you'll never see on NR92.
Some places across Canada are no longer accepting real hair for wig donations.
That's right, and places like the Wig Boutique here in Edmonton provide women who've lost hair for medical reasons such as chemotherapy and alopecia a new set of hair to help them feel more confident themselves. Abby St. John has more on that story.
The hardest part about going through treatment is losing the hair. We've had many clients say it's harder to lose the hair than it is the breast.
Tamara Shaw is one of about 150 workers at the Wig Boutique. Since 1965, the Wig Boutique has been giving women not only their hair back, but their self-confidence as they look to make women feel like themselves again.
So I had one client that came in with an entourage of 4 ladies. They were all talking about different styles, which one she should pick. She picked 2 that day and she left. Then about a week later, she came back. She gave me a huge hug. It was, she could get through her day again. She wasn't worried. The cancer treatment was doable.
Shaw, the store's manager, has been working at the boutique for 10 years. While before people often saw synthetic wigs as plastic and fake, she believes the stigma's changing. Enough so that Pantene Beautiful Lengths cut their program of giving real hair wigs to the Canadian Cancer Society. Pantene will still be providing real hair wigs until 2022. But for now, the Canadian Cancer Society will be looking for new options for those who still want to donate their hair.
Well, I think for many people that donating their hair is a meaningful and tangible way to support someone in their cancer journey. And someone who is going through their cancer treatment would maybe feel that connection to another person who had generously donated their hair.
Hair loss doesn't just affect women with cancer. Women with alopecia have to deal with constantly losing their hair in patches or not having hair at all. The benefits of synthetic wigs often comes down to price, as they range between $250 to $500 at the boutique, whereas real hair wigs cost anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 and can take up to 8 to 15 ponytails to make just one wig. Though synthetic wigs are the way to go, Shaw still believes they have more improvements to make.
Finding a synthetic fiber that is actually heat tolerant, so you do have to be careful in the kitchen. Blasts of heat that would normally fog a set of glasses will actually singe a wig. So when you open it, there's that whoosh of heat that will actually singe it.
As you saw, the store isn't just a store. It's a place full of wigs and stories of recovery and people who've come in with nothing and leave with everything. For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Abby St. John. So Ryan, did you know a guy that used to wrestle here at NAIT is trying to make it big in the WWE?
I didn't know that. That's crazy to think about. Connor Toffin has more on that story.
The self-dubbed God's gift to wrestling was main eventing PWA's Fall Fever last September against the Sheikh Abaz Shabar, with the title and his PWA career on the line. Since his early childhood, he's been dreaming of nights like tonight.
Watching professional wrestling for the first time is the very first memory I can actually truly remember from my life. So yeah, it's always been my dream. I've never wanted to do anything else.
Even though it's safe to say that his aspirations are beyond the PWA, while he's here, MRB wants to elevate everyone around him.
If people think I'm the top guy here and the best guy here, my goal is to make everybody at least as close as possible as I can get them to be on that level, and that's how I think I hope.
You were never part of the Western Lions family. You were always just our bitch.
As you can see, there's clearly no love lost between the former teammates. At Fall Fever, they took out their anger on each other in front of just a few hundred people, but he's not far removed from wrestling in front of a full arena. Just over a year ago, MRB took on the monster among men, Braun Strowman, on Monday Night Raw, WWE's flagship show. Despite the crowd sizes, MRB feels a similarity in wrestling for the PWA and the WWE.
Every single time I've been there, as soon as I get into the ring, as soon as I get through the ropes, no matter how many people are there, I just get this feeling that I belong. This is what I was made to do, and I belong there, so it's amazing. It's an amazing rush. It's a dream come true, but it's also just like, it's my life. It's what I'm gonna do.
His brashness between the ropes is largely attributed to his childhood when no one believed MRB was capable of achieving his dreams.
In grade 4, went around the class asking everybody, what do you want to be? And lots of people wanted to be doctors, hockey players, whatever, like kind of the normal stuff at that age, I guess. I said professional wrestler, and the teacher literally looked me up and down because I grew up as the fat kid, like, and got bullied a lot, but the teacher looked me up and down and said, aren't you a little chubby for that? And like that killed me, but it also was the thing that like I went home, I cried, I was upset, but I was also like, I am going to take this and shove this in her face, and anybody that ever tells me I can't do it.
Even though MRB didn't win the title, because of a dusty finish, he'll be sticking around in the PWA for just a little longer. For NAIT Newswatch, I'm Connor Toffin.
Dogs with Wings is the only Alberta-based service dog school accredited through Assistance Dogs International.
That's right, Sarah, and they're currently engaged in their most important fundraising campaign of the year. And I think you have some more on that story.
Ever wanted to see how a regular dog becomes a working dog? Dogs with Wings opened their door to the public this year for their annual Christmas open house. People of all ages were able to see the hard-working pups in uniform alongside their trainers in action. From pressing buttons with their noses to learning the proper way to walk on a leash, their job is anything but a walk in the park. One hard-working pup in particular, named Kinsley, showed off her ability to do something all service dogs must do: pick up small things and big things. Bottles, keys, cards, coins as small as a dime. Kinsley can pick up all of them.
Some of them do it naturally. They do it from a very young age, from in the whelping home, and then we just continue to nurture that. Some of them you have to work a little bit harder to teach them, but if they really don't like picking stuff up and we really can't get them there, then they're just not meant for service work, and they'll go into a different field. They don't necessarily have to pick things up if they're not in service. But we're hoping she'll do some service work because she really likes to pick things up.
Paintings by local artists were donated to their open house to have people bid on. All the money raised from these paintings go to Dogs with Wings to help with the cost of running the non-profit charity, and as well as being able to provide service dogs for those who couldn't afford it otherwise. They also have toys, treats, apparel, and stockings for sale for your four-legged friend up until the new year. It takes 2 years and $40,000 just to train one dog. Luckily, the people who are receiving the dogs only have to pay $1.
So it's only $1 for one of our dogs, because through Assistance Dogs International, that's part of the process. But also, anybody who needs a dog should get a dog, and price should never, ever be a factor when someone is needing an assistance dog, and we take that out of the equation.
These working dogs go through a number of tests to see if they've got what it takes to become a service dog. They have to be in situations with noises, their physical strength is tested, their memory is tested, and their ability to be around people with disabilities is also tested. These dogs train long and hard to be able to make it as a service dog. 6-month-old Black Lab Onyx is no exception and will be the newest addition to Dogs with Wings in the new year. All work and no play certainly isn't the lifestyle these dogs live. Although work is a big part of who they are, Dogs with Wings offers many opportunities for fun. A fan favorite seems to be playing in fields just like this one. For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Sarah Mitchell.
Right after the break, we visit the NAIT Nugget office to take a closer look at the paper.
The physical copy, I think, is still relevant and important.
And we take you back in time to see just how far we've come in farming technology.
As a culture, as a society, we're so far removed from our rural roots that we're losing that connection.
Oof.
Ouch.
It shouldn't be this hard to win a contest.
NR92 has contests running all semester long.
Head to nr92.com and click contests.
NewsWatch jackets provided by Elite Promotional Marketing and Timberland Supply.
The NAIT Nugget has been in operation since 1964, and still to this day, all of its content is written by NAIT students.
That's right, you can find all your local NAIT news in here. Our Abby St. John and Peter Go have more on that story. In 1964, NAIT released a school newspaper that went nameless for 2 editions until it was finally named the Nugget. Throughout the decades, the paper was printed at a printing press like any other newspaper. The Nugget has found itself adapting to survive, but it still gets hand-delivered every second Thursday by their production manager Frank McKay, who understands the difficulty students are having with the paper.
Students aren't quite reading hard copy newspapers as much as they used to. Students are very busy. They've got a lot of coursework, they've got a lot of pressures, they've got jobs, and it's hard to sort of get them always to get them interested in NAIT and what's going on here. But
even though social media has become the main platform for news, the Nugget continues to strive to put out content for staff and students at NAIT.
Well, aside from the great leaps and bounds they've had in technology and design layout and the internet, because I was involved in the Nugget back in their mid-90s. But I think social media has had a huge impact. And the online environment has had a huge impact in some good ways and some bad ways.
Students are on both sides of the fence when it comes to having their school newspaper online or not.
I mean, if it was online, I'm online like 24/7, so yeah, I think that's better for me.
Yeah, it's more readily available that way. So online would be better because I feel like people don't really look at newspapers as much nowadays.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the same time, it is good to have like a hard copy because some people still like that.
I like hard copy better. Yeah, I like reading stuff like that better than online because I wouldn't actually check it online.
The media operations manager of the Nugget knows that online content will help them flourish, but still sees value in a hard copy.
The interesting thing about a school newspaper, though, is the physical copy. I think is still relevant and important because that is also part of our presence on campus and will help for students to come to our online site as well. It's a physical reminder daily to students that we exist, and if we were to go online, I think that we would actually have significantly less of a reach.
The Nugget is aware content is shifting towards an online platform, but they will still continue to produce a hard copy of the paper. For NAIT NewsWatch, I'm Abby St. John.
And I'm Peter Go.
After years of construction, the new Royal Alberta Museum finally opened earlier this year.
That's right, the museum gives people a unique look through Alberta's history. Ryan, you have more on that story.
The Human History exhibit gives attendees a glimpse into Alberta's history. The exhibit features items from a variety of time periods covering a wide range of events and stories. One item in particular, an Edmonton Grads jersey, is a key piece of the team's past as the winningest franchise in basketball. In addition, the museum has interactive elements that showcase traditional hunting methods. The museum also has an insect gallery that features over 250 creepy crawlies from all over the world, a range that museum staff are sure will encourage people to learn something about creatures they otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity to see.
I think there's something here for everybody, and even if you're somewhat apprehensive about certain species, this is a very safe environment to be able to see it, and my hope is that by virtue of seeing everything all locked up and under glass, you know that you can get close to the wasps and not have to worry about them chasing you across the rooms.
In addition to the insect gallery, the museum also has a space for children, with lots of interactive elements to interest kids and probably some adults.
Well, I think the space itself will sell the children on it. The interesting thing is children really gravitate towards natural things, towards things that they can explore with and that they maybe don't know everything about. They always want to find out about things. They're curious.
Venturing into the natural history section, attendees will be able to witness a large portion of the museum's 5,300 objects. All the items showcase the diverse variety of creatures that once lived and are still present in Alberta.
So this room highlights the Ice Age fauna that lived in Alberta up until about 10,000 years ago.
When asked about what will surprise people the most, Jazz says that one particular critter stands out from the rest.
I think certainly the sloth. I mean, the giant ground sloth is just bizarre. The anatomy is strange.
In addition to the ground sloth, there are skeletons of saber-toothed tigers, mastodons, and some beasts that will be closer to their relatives of today.
The museum's collection has a total of 2.4 million artifacts in it, which means that visitors could expect to see some new things in the mainstay exhibits. There's also 84,000 square feet of exhibit space, with 12,000 of that being reserved for traveling exhibits. So attendees can expect to see the first traveling exhibit in the next 6 months. For NAIT NewsWatch Extra, I'm Ryan Cavani. Over the years, there have been huge leaps in agricultural technology, but it is important to never forget where the industry came from.
That's right. From horses to tractors, our Logan Bike has more on that story.
So we are, as a culture, as a society, we're so far removed from our rural roots that we're losing that connection.
A connection that Bill Soder, the Stony Plain Pioneer Museum's tractor mechanic, hopes to reestablish with today's generation. September 29th was a busy day for Miriam Gordon, the head office manager for the museum, for this was the morning of the 26th annual Old Time Heritage Fair.
So I think the guys are going to bring out some tractors and machinery and whatnot and have it here.
For the staff and volunteers at the museum, the fair is their chance to showcase and teach curious visitors pieces of Canadian history that fascinate them personally, and hopes what they show will be remembered in order to keep their heritage alive. Take Oliver Hendricks, for example. He is a traditional blacksmith and has deep family roots in the craft. He is aware of the trade's waning popularity and so volunteered to set up shop at the museum to showcase blacksmithing to the festival goers.
Actually, my grandfather, he was a blacksmith. My father was a blacksmith. I'm the third generation of blacksmiths. I learned that trade back home in Germany from 1986 to 89. And now I'm teaching my son on that. So yeah, that's the fourth generation.
Blacksmithing wasn't the only historic trade on display. David Pape is a retired military Air Force veteran who now has a hobby of crafting model plane engines. He spent months rigorously recreating a model-size engine of the Lockheed CP-140 Aurora, a now decommissioned plane which he once flew while in service. He scaled the motor down in order to more easily demonstrate how the 50-year-old engine works, and because some of the parts of the original engine are incredibly rare, expensive, and even illegal to own, he settled on a more smaller version instead.
These days, you've got modern jet aircraft, for example, that once they've been retired, they would be impossible for a private person to ever make operational again due to all the electronics that are in them these days. So if you go to a model airplane contest, you'll see modern fighters in miniature powered by jet engines.
The event as a whole was a huge success, with an average of 200 visitors throughout the day. Staff at the museum hopes that means 200 more people interested in learning more about Canada's past and heritage. Logan Breichreitz, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
That's been your look at NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Thank you to everyone who joined us this semester. We really appreciate your support. Stay tuned for the next semester of NAIT NewsWatch, which will feature an all-new cast of characters. Take care.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you.